New video tonight is giving us our first look at Miami-Dade police body camera video showing the arrest of Donna Adelson at Miami International Airport. She's the mother-in-law of murdered Florida State University law professor Dan Markel. Adelson and her husband were about to board a flight to Vietnam when she was taken into custody last November. As police explained what was happening, her husband removed her jewelry before police took her to jail. Take a listen to what unfolded as she was taken into custody in the jetway at MIA.
To you. Why do I have to give it? Because my attorney said not to. Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence. Evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with it. I have to go. I have to go. You don't have to go with. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay. My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't come with me? Please, can I help? No, you can't join me there. Oh, don't do this, please. Please. Oh, someone's got to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Another body camera video shows her arriving at the jail in West Miami-Dade. Adelson has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation charges. There was more than an hour worth of body camera video released in this case. If you'd like to see it for yourself, you can find it on cbsmiami.com.
There's nothing more powerful than the odor of mendacity.
All right, welcome back Inside the Law, everyone. I'm your host, Phil Holloway. This, of course, being your LawTube channel where we take you inside the real justice system, not the one that you might think that we have, but the one we really do have. Before we get into our show today, I've got a great guest. Dave Aronberg is the former state's attorney, essentially the elected DA in Palm Beach County, Florida. He's going to help me bring you all up to speed on this crazy Donna Adelson case. There's so many twists and turns. I need an expert like Dave to really help me break it all down. But first, a lot of people are saying, hey, Phil, where have you been? I've been on a hiatus for a couple of months, as you may have noticed, but there's some reasons for that. First, there's a lot of work that it takes to put these shows together, both before and after. And of course, it costs some money. So I need to make sure that we were doing things right. I didn't want to put out content just to be throwing out content. I wanted to do the Diddy case, but of course it's in federal court and there's no video. So I didn't have any video elements. And then of course we get the end of the school year and all of those things. But there's also been a special project that I've been sort of trying to work on getting off the ground and helping other folks get it off the ground for several weeks now. Maybe it's been in planning for maybe a little bit longer than that. And so I want to give you just a preview of what I've been up to because, well, just take a look.
Coming soon to the MK Media Podcast Network, MK True Crime.
All right, let's get moving. We got to go.
The FBI does not want you to be doing this interview.
The reason why is for my own safety.
Original shows, live trial coverage, in-depth investigations, expert legal analysis, and more.
After stab number 16, that apparently wasn't enough for her.
With all of your Kelly's Court favorites for years at The Megyn Kelly Show. Mark Garagos, Arthur Aidala, Mark Eiglarsh, Dave Aronberg, Phil Holloway, Ashley Merchant, Jonas Spilbor, and more we're going to be announcing soon. Plus, yours truly.
Who that knows he's done this sits willingly for a polygraph and an interview with police. Hello?
MK True Crime launches August 6th on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Subscribe now. The truth is the truth. We're going to find it one way or another.
All right, so there you have it. I and others, including my guest today, Dave Aronberg, have been tapped as co-hosts and contributors with Megyn Kelly's newest true crime offering, MK True Crime, and you can find us there as well. And we're very honored and thrilled to be part of that new and growing true crime project. But before we go any further, let me go ahead and bring in my guest and my friend, my colleague, Dave Aronberg. Dave, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Phil. It's great to be back with you, and welcome back from your hiatus. The public needs to hear from you, brother.
Well, I know, and I've missed it, and it is good. It's great to be back. For those of those in the audience that are watching live, and of course maybe on replay, just give us a little bit of information. I know who you are, but tell them who you are, Dave.
Well, I was state attorney for Palm Beach County for 12 years. I retired in January. Now I'm in the private sector. I've been a prosecutor for a while, and now for the first time I'm doing work on the defense side, which is kind of weird, but I still have that prosecutorial mindset. So when I do speak on true crime cases, it still does feel like I'm still working for the government. But I was a state senator before then, and I was involved with the opioid and fighting the opioid epidemic, and to the extent that I ran for Attorney General of Florida in 2010 and lost in a Democratic primary. And then the Republican who beat the Democrat who beat me is a woman named Pam Bondi. And she then reached across party lines and hired me as her drug czar to go after the opioid epidemic in Florida, the pill mills. We shut them down together. And so I have a habit of working across party lines. And here I am with you, which I think we may have some different politics, but really when it comes to true crime, I think we're pretty much in line.
Yeah, and of course, in this Donna Adelson case, there's nobody that knows this case. I mean, well, maybe the lawyers that are involved in this trial, but certainly the people that I have access to, you are the go-to guy because you're there in Florida. You've been in Florida legal circles, including prosecution circles. In this case, by the way, the murder happened back, what was it, 2014, and you were still in office, right?
Yeah.
Or you were a senator. You were a state senator.
No, I was a state attorney. I was state attorney.
Okay.
I left the state senate in 2010, but so I was state attorney. It happened early on in my tenure, and I got a call from a good friend who was very close to Danny Markel, and who told me, and I was shocked because Tallahassee is a pretty safe community, and where he lived was a safe community, and you didn't have random murders, home invasions, or anything like that in his community. And I didn't understand how someone who seemingly had no enemies would end up dead like that. I knew Danny. He was my friend when I was in the state senate, and I lived in Tallahassee part of the year. He was a great guy, and his priority in life were his two boys. He loved his kids so much, and it was that love for his sons that ended up costing him his life, because the in-laws crafted a plan to have him murdered. They crafted a plan to have murdered because they wanted the two boys to move down to South Florida to be with them. South Florida, this is where I live as well, is about 7 to 8 hours away from Tallahassee. So,
if you want to, don't mean to cut you off. I want to hold that thought.
Yeah,
I want to show the folks. You and I talked about this this week on our MK True Crime episode, and I've got a little bit of that I want to play just to sort of help set the stage. All right, our next topic is the Donna Adelson case, set for trial coming up later this month in Tallahassee, Florida. This is being called the matriarch mastermind case because Donna Adelson is a mother of someone who's already been convicted of killing her son-in-law, and there's a lot of background here. This is actually a very complicated case, but fortunately, Dave Aronberg knows all about it. Of course, he's a longtime prosecutor in the state of Florida. And Dave, as I understand it, you actually knew the victim in the case. So why don't you tell us what's happened up to this point and what this case is all about?
yeah, thanks, Phil. This one is personal to me because I was friends with Danny Markel. He was an FSU law professor, and I knew him when I was a state senator in Tallahassee. He was a great guy, and he had a marriage to Wendy, and the marriage dissolved, and there was a fight over the two kids. And Wendy wanted the kids back in South Florida. Wendy is from South Florida, and she has parents, and she has a brother down in South Florida. Now, Tallahassee is about a 7-hour drive from where they live in Broward, and so she wanted them down there. Danny Markel was doing very well as an FSU law professor, wanted the kids to stay in Tallahassee. And the mother-in-law here, Donna Adelson, was getting very upset. And she told Wendy that you need to do whatever it takes, essentially, to get those kids back down here. Like, for example, you should threaten to have the kids convert to Catholicism, Christianity, because the kids are Jewish and Danny was a religious a Jew. And so she was saying, you should do whatever it takes. In fact, dress them up in Nazi clothes and say that's what's going to happen unless they go and move to South Florida. And
all right, Dave. So look, I mean, that was just a little taste of what we were talking about. And so you did a good job setting the stage, and I'm going to let you pick it up from there. But I wanted the folks to understand this whole thing started out as a custody dispute back. Well, I guess if the murder was 2014, the divorce and custody case would have preceded that. And that was maybe during the time where you knew Dan Markel. So the Donna Adelson is the mother, right? And we've got a lot of other players in the case. And I've got a graphic I want to show, or at least an image that sort of lays out who these folks are. And so I'm going to put it up. I'm going to take you and I off the screen. But while this is on the screen, can you just kind of walk us through who all these people are?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, go for it.
Okay, let's start left to right. Now, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so I'm going to blow it up a little bit here. Okay, we have Danny Markel married Wendy Adelson. They met on JDate, which is a online dating service for Jewish folks, and the mother of Wendy Adelson, Donna Adelson, you can see her below Wendy and to the right. She was very involved in her daughter's life. In fact, she's the one who helped create the profile for Wendy and pushed her to start dating Dan Markel. Her mother was involved in every aspect of Wendy's life. The father, Harvey Adelson, is a prominent dentist. He was involved, but not quite to the extent of Donna in Wendy's dating life and then what happened later on with Danny. Then you see to the right is Charlie Adelson. Charlie Adelson is Wendy's brother. It is Donna's son. Charlie Adelson, like, unfortunately, a lot of people down here in South Florida, or at least some people, I should say, he's living the high life. He's living the fast life. He's made a lot of money doing dental surgeries, and he drove a Ferrari with the license plate Maestro, because he deemed himself the maestro, the one pulling everyone's strings, who can conduct an orchestra. And he's the one who decided that they could do harm to Danny and get away with it. And he convinced his mother, allegedly, to go along with the plot. And the mother, who's controlling,
hang on. So you think Charlie put Donna up to it, or was it maybe the other way around? Because the prosecutors are basically saying that Donna was the so-called mastermind, the matriarch mastermind, but you're saying Charlie was the brainchild.
Well, Donna wanted those kids, the grandkids, to be closer to them in South Florida, and she hated Danny. She grew to hate Dan. She called him a negative nickname called Jibbers. That's how she referred to him. In fact, she would trash Danny in front of the children so often that Danny asked the court to bar Donna from having unsupervised visits with the children, with the grandkids. And that infuriated Donna. Donna was the one who said, dress the kids up in Nazi uniforms. Donna was the one who was trying to concoct ways to get Danny to relent. They even tried to bribe him, offering him $1 million if he would relent and let the kids move to South Florida. Danny, who loved his kids so dearly and was on a government salary, said, no, I'm not going to be bribed by that. And so then she and Charlie commiserated, allegedly. And then Charlie was the one who said, I know someone who can do harm to Danny. So it was Charlie who said, I've got hitmen. Donna didn't know any hitmen. It was Charlie who went and spoke to his girlfriend, Katie Magbanua. You see her right next there, Catherine Magbanua. She was a shot girl at a nightclub.
And that's where he met her?
Yeah. He was, see, that's what Charlie is like. He's out there driving his Ferrari. He's doing steroids. He's doing cocaine. He's traveling to Thailand. And you know why single young guys travel to Thailand? I'm not going to go any further than that. And he's out there and he's dating the shot girl. And the shot girl, Katie Magbanua, has a baby daddy. And the baby daddy is Sigfredo Garcia. You see him there to his right. That's Tuta. And Tuta has a bestie, and that's Luis Rivera. Luis Rivera above him, Tato. Luis Rivera was a member of the Latin Kings gang. He had ties to the gang. See, Sigfredo Garcia wasn't a member of the Latin Kings gang, but Luis Rivera was. And so this all got started really, yes, Donna's urging to do something about it, but it was Charlie apparently that said, okay, how about this? I can find people who will kill Danny Markel. And so he then approached Katie Magbanua. Magbanua approached her baby daddy, and then the hit was on. And then Donna's money found her way to the hitman through Katie Magbanua. And here's the craziest part. When they put, now, by the way, the two hitmen, they're both convicted. The killer, the guy who shot Danny to death, was Katie Magbanua's baby daddy, Sigfredo Garcia. He was sentenced to life in prison. Luis Rivera, who is the gang member who did not do the shooting, he flipped and helped break the case and got a much lighter sentence, 7 years added to his current incarceration for something else. So then they went after Katie Magbanua, and after 2 trials, because the first trial was hung, they convicted her. She's now in prison for life. And then they went after Charlie. They convicted him. He's in prison for life. Now they're after Donna. Here's the last point on this. Charlie's defense, and he took the stand in his defense, like Donna will take the stand in her defense, was that the reason why Charlie and Donna's money were found in the hitman's possession is because Charlie and Donna, Charlie said he was being extorted, that Katie went to him and said, these hitmen are going to kill you unless you give them money. And that's going to be Donna's defense. Donna's going to say, the reason why my money went to the hitman is because they were extorting me and my son. Of course, the jury rejected that because it's the most preposterous excuse. And we can get into that, but it's ridiculous. No one with half a brain would believe it.
All right. That's a lot. This is, like I said, this is a crazy, complicated, complex case. I want to go back to, all right, so let's go back to the actual killing itself. So that was, as I understand it, he was executed, basically, it was execution style in his garage as he was returning from running some errands. So it was these 2 hitmen that you're telling me that were there. So they've been convicted. Is that right?
Correct. And he was coming back from the gym. They followed him in a Toyota Prius, a rental car. Thankfully, the neighbor who heard a gunshot ran to Danny's aid and saw the Prius driving away. Had that not happened, I don't know if they would have ever been caught.
And media reports, or that, and maybe this has come out at the trial, I guess there's been some of these folks have cooperated now, right? I mean, I don't know which ones have and which ones haven't. You probably do, but we're pretty clear that $100,000 was paid to these 2 hitmen. Is that right?
Yeah, they were paid. Now, the person who cooperated, who broke the case, was Luis Rivera. That was the gang member friend who did not shoot Danny Markel. It was Sigfredo Garcia who shot Markel to death.
Okay, so Sigfredo on the bottom right of the screen now. He was the trigger man.
Correct. That's the baby daddy. That's the trigger man.
Okay, so Shot Girl and Sigfredo, had a child together, but Shot Girl is dating Charlie.
I believe they have 2 children together. The Shot Girl was dating Charlie. Sigfredo did not like that. Didn't like the dentist, as he called him. But Katie asked Sigfredo to do it for her as a favor, and also offered money from Charlie. I guess he liked the money. He liked the money, of course. Well, yeah. Look, there was reports that this was in actual cash and that some of the bills were stapled together and that maybe the money was actually like wet or damp. So there are 2 things to that. First, stapling money together was a trademark of Charlie Adelson. That's how he kept his money. It was in his safe. He loved to staple money together. It's like his fingerprint on that. Like, he could not deny that. So Charlie had to explain why his money got into the killer's hands. That's where he came up with that cockamamie double extortion excuse. Also, there is testimony that the money was wet and moldy. And why? It's because the money came from, allegedly, Donna, who gave it to Charlie, who then stapled it together. But the
Did
money,
she wash it in a washing machine or something to take DNA off of it? What was the deal?
Yeah, yeah, and thank you to True Crime Wifey. Yeah, ridiculous defense, and I love that name, True Crime Wifey.
Oh, I love that. Look, I love the live chat. I got one eye on you, and I got one eye on the. We always have some of the best takes here in this live chat, and I try to feature the ones that I can, but I also want to try to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I hope we'll get into this defense because Donna's going to use the same extortion defense, and I can explain why it's so ridiculous. But as far as why the money was wet, Donna, who's new to all this, apparently washed the money, took money laundering literally, and washed the money. So the money was wet and moldy.
So all right, so I guess that's because maybe she's trying to get fingerprints or DNA off of it or something. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, she wanted to launder the money. She wanted to wash the money. I mean that's she took that phrase literally and decided to put it through the washing machine.
Oh my gosh! All right, so we've got $100,000. Do you think Shot Girl kept any of that money? Did she take a cut? Because I've heard that there was some. I think Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, testified at some kind of trial or something where, he gave Shot Girl $138,000 in cash or something like that.
Yeah, thank you, Chewy boy. Appreciate you. As far as the money, I don't recall offhand how much of that Katie Magbanoa got, but she did get a portion of it. She made money off this too. Now they had to prosecute her twice. The first time around, she wore this, like the Menendez brothers sweater with the oversized glasses, and they infantiled her, and she took the stand, and the verdict was 11-1 against her. So they couldn't convict her. It was a hung jury, one holdout. So they retried her again. And the whole time she denied that she had anything to do with anything. She protected Charlie and she lied. I mean, she's a liar. And then they found her guilty. Now she'll never see her kids again, at least not outside of a prison setting, because she got life in prison. But now she is cooperating. And in the last trial, in Charlie's trial, she testified against him. Of course, any good defense lawyer would say, okay, are you lying now or are you lying then? Like, because you're a liar, your stories keep changing.
Law Dog is asking if Charlie is currently serving time. Yes, he is securely in prison. Oh, and Dave is now, life. He's convicted. So is now a good time to talk about the phone call between Charlie and his mom from prison that didn't actually disconnect?
Yeah, like a lot of senior citizens, we know sometimes technology can be daunting for them. So now I shouldn't say a lot, maybe some. But you're talking about Donna. Donna was on the phone with her son and
in jail.
Recorded in jail. Everything's recorded. He had just been convicted, and she was talking about the case, and then it was recorded how and a lot of it was recorded after Charlie got disconnected, and she didn't know it was disconnected. She was talking to her husband, and she was talking about how she was going to either kill herself or get or travel to a non-extraditable country. She was going to flee the country to a non-extraditable country.
Right.
Because she knew the heat was on her. And then she did.
One-way tickets to Vietnam.
Now, that's the craziest part, Phil. Why one-way tickets? If you're really going to pretend that you're not fleeing, why do you buy one-way tickets?
Well, what she's going to say, I think what she's going to say is that, well, I knew that the heat was rising on me and maybe they were getting ready to arrest me. So if I go and look, I think this is preposterous, but her take on it would be, look, all right, so I'm going to go to a country that doesn't have an extradition treaty. So when that warrant drops, I don't get stuck in some hellhole jail overseas in some third world country, waiting for the paperwork and the extradition, which could be months and months and months in a foreign prison. I'm going to go to Vietnam that doesn't have an extradition treaty so that when the warrant does drop, I can voluntarily come back and surrender myself and I don't have to spend time in some foreign jail. That's her explanation. I don't buy it. I think it's bull, but that's it. I mean, that's what she's going to say.
That was her explanation. She did that under oath at a pretrial hearing, and the judge didn't buy it. She didn't want the evidence of her fleeing to be admissible because it's damning evidence. It's consciousness of guilt. It doesn't answer the question of why do you buy the one-way tickets? Like, okay, you want to go clear your head and go on vacation, and you want to go to a non-extraditable country because in case you get charged, you don't want to have to be put in a cell until you have to return. So then why not get a return ticket if that's what you intended? Why get a one-way ticket unless you plan to leave for good? So that evidence is coming in, and that evidence is going to sink her in my mind.
All right. So I want to look, I feel like I need a whiteboard or something. So I want to go back to this picture here with all the players. And so look, we've got Luis Rivera, right, top right. He pleaded guilty, right? He didn't have a trial. He pled guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for a 19-year sentence to run concurrently with a federal sentence on an unrelated case. So he had multiple things going on, federal and state. So he decided he was going to cooperate, plead guilty. And I guess he testified that he was with Garcia when Markel was murdered. Do I have that right?
Yes, he gave up the ghost. He's the one who broke the case open. He cooperated. He got 7 extra years to the amount of time he was already serving. I actually support the prosecution in this way because this whole thing wouldn't have unfolded without the cooperation of Luis Garcia, who explained, and he will be a key witness in Donna's trial, how they were paid, where they got the orders from, how they went to Tallahassee not once but twice, because the first time it was like a scouting operation. They had issues, and then they came back and they had to do it again. And also that will just destroy Donna's defense of extortion. I can explain that in a bit. But that testimony was crucial because of his testimony, the killer, the guy who actually fired the gun, was sentenced to life. And then Katie Magbanua was sentenced to life. And then Charlie Adelson was sentenced to life. And now Donna's day of reckoning is upon us.
We got, okay, and so Sigfredo, the trigger man, he was found guilty after a trial. He got life in prison. Catherine, the shot girl, so like you said, she was tried twice, but they finally got one that was going to stick. What was the first trial overturned? What was the reason for that?
No, it wasn't overturned. It was a hung jury.
Oh, it was a hung jury.
Okay. Yeah, there was one juror who apparently felt sympathetic towards her because she looked so sweet on the stand and refused to convict. 11-1. They had to do it all over again.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, what's going to stick in the minds of one juror to hang a case, either for acquittal or, conviction or acquittal. Either way, you just never know what jurors are going to think. And sometimes it's how a defendant looks in court, right? If she's cute, attractive, if she testifies in a sympathetic way, maybe that's enough to tug on somebody's heartstrings. Charlie, of course, was Charlie Donna's son, Charlie, the dentist, I guess the steroid dealer or whatever in Miami. Was he the first one to go to trial?
No, he was the last one, the most recent one. He wasn't a dealer; he was a user, and the guy is just, just thought he was above the law. He's a cocky guy with steroids and cocaine and fast cars, fast women, and he eventually caught up with him.
All right, so it was only a week after that trial, that Charlie's trial, that we saw them trying to head out to Vietnam on a one-way ticket, and they got arrested by I feel like the FBI and I feel like they had to act maybe quicker than they wanted to act in arresting Donna. I think they wanted to try to develop their investigation a little bit more, but she called them she basically forced their hand by walking down that jetway trying to go to Vietnam.
Yeah, it was state law enforcement, not the feds. And the state law enforcement got her on the jetway. Apparently, a friend of hers tipped off what was going on to the cops, and they stopped her as she was boarding the plane. And that video is so compelling. And then they stopped her and told her she was under arrest for the murder of Dan Markel. And she was like, "Oh, this again?" I mean, and then they tried to take her phone, which they're allowed to do, and she pulled the phone back. She did not want the phone to get into their possession. That is a treasure trove of evidence. They now have her cell phone, and perhaps they're going to use that for what comes next, which is not.
So you got any inside scoop on what's on that phone? What do you think?
Only what's made public. I don't know. We'll see it at trial, but I do think what's on that phone could end up being used in the next trial. And I do believe that if Donna is convicted,
you're talking about Wendy?
Yeah, I think if Donna's convicted, and I think she will be convicted, I think Wendy's next.
All right, we'll get to Wendy. We'll get back to Wendy in a minute because I got questions. All right, so Adelson is charged with, look, the way a conspiracy works, folks, for those of you who don't know, a conspiracy is essentially an agreement to commit a crime. Okay, so the conspiracy is complete the minute that Dave and I agree to go rob the grocery store. Okay, when we go rob the grocery store, the conspiracy, the object of the conspiracy is complete. Now we've committed robbery. But the minute Dave and I form this agreement and walk out the door headed to the grocery store, that's an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. The crime of conspiracy is complete. So they're saying that she was not necessarily a conspirator after the fact, but they're saying she was a conspirator from the beginning, before the murders took place. We've got circumstantial evidence. We've got this, this phone call thing where she thought she was off the phone with Charlie and Charlie's jail phone was still recording. She's talking to people in her house, presumably in her living room, talking about how they had been looking for places with no extradition treaty, and things of that nature that make her look really, really guilty. But what evidence do we have that she was a member of this conspiracy before the murder took place, Dave? That's kind of one of the questions I've got about her.
Right. Well, for a conspiracy, you need the agreement and you need an overt act. And it can be anyone in that conspiracy to commit an overt act. It doesn't have to be you. And here you had evidence that they had agreed, because you have also what's called the bump.
Yeah.
The bump was when law enforcement was at a standstill. They knew or felt that the Adelsons were involved, but they couldn't charge them. So what they did was they sent an undercover agent to bump into Donna Adelson on the street and came up to Donna and said, "Hey, Miss Adelson, you don't know me, but I'm the brother of someone who's incarcerated right now for this killing, and you know all about it, and you need to pay up because he needs to be taken care of, like you're taking care of Katie. He needs to be taken care of." And what's interesting is that Donna, who is alleged to have been involved from the beginning because of all the emails, and she's the one who wanted to step up their attacks on Danny, and who apparently gave the money for this hit. So this is all stuff that you can show that she was part of the conspiracy. But the way Donna acted also, she didn't call the cops. The guy left her with a piece of paper, a phone number. She took it, she put it in her pocket. So, and then she called the guy. And then after the guy tried to extort her, she feigned ignorance. And then she said, "Okay, I'll call you back." Like,
yeah, somebody comes up and bumps into me and says, "Hey, call me at this number because my friend, the hitman, is not happy with you." I'm not gonna just say, "Oh, okay," and walk away. I'm gonna, I'm probably gonna get law enforcement involved or something.
There are two responses for an innocent person. Number one, you call the cops and like, the weirdest thing just happened. Or number two, you take the piece of paper, you throw it in the trash saying, "Wrong person." You don't keep it and then call and say, I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it. And at the end, "Okay, I'll call you back." Like, so when you combine all that, you show that, yes, she was involved, not just afterwards, but as part of the conspiracy because of the money distribution, because of her actions on the bump, because of her emails beforehand that show that she wanted Danny, she hated Danny and wanted him gone, although there's no specific smoking gun that says, "Let's go kill Danny." But you put it all together, you show that this was not just trying to protect her son after the fact. And can we get to that? The alibi she's going to have, or the excuse she's going to have?
Yeah. So what is her excuse? Or I'm sorry, what is her defense?
Her defense, correct. I'm still thinking like a prosecutor. I'll give you her excuse. Her defense.
Well, I'm a former prosecutor. I'm an ex-cop, but it's two sides of the same coin. If I had to pick, I would much rather be the prosecutor on this case than the poor defense lawyers, because they certainly have their work cut out for them. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, her defense is going to be the same double extortion theory that Charlie propounded at trial.
All right.
And so here's what it is. It's really not, well, it's ridiculous. So you had the hitman who went to Tallahassee twice and eventually killed Danny Markel. They came back and got paid. So how do you explain why Donna and Charlie's money ended up in their hands? Well, their explanation is, and this is what Charlie testified under oath at his trial too, that Katie McBanawa, the shot girl, the conduit, came to Charlie, said, Charlie, the hitman, my baby daddy, just killed Danny Markel. And now they're going to kill you and your family unless you pay them.
All right. Hang on. Let me understand this. And I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I'm trying to follow you. Right. So why would Latin Kings guys even know about Dan Markel in the first place, independently of Charlie and everybody else?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess the explanation is that Katie McBanawa told the Latin King guys, her baby daddy and Latin King guy, that they hated this guy and go kill him. I guess, and that was done without any knowledge of Donna and Charlie, and so they came back and said, okay, they just killed him, and now
you got to pay
kill you. Right. Or maybe they found out that he was a relative of Charlie's, and to make a statement said, all right, they just killed one of your relatives, but it's a brother-in-law. But here's the craziest part. There are two reasons why this falls apart. And you identified it right there. Like, why would hitmen drive 8 hours each way to Tallahassee twice? So 8 hours up, 8 hours back, 8 hours up, 8 hours back, to kill someone that they didn't know and that Charlie Adelson hated. Why would they kill Charlie Adelson's enemy only to come back and say, okay, we killed your enemy, now you got to pay us or we're going to kill you? What? Why just go to Charlie Adelson and just say, hey, you're full of money, pay me up or I'm going to kill you and your family? That's extortion. Extortion is not, first let me travel to Tallahassee twice and I'm going to kill someone you hate and then I'm going to extort you for money. It doesn't work like that. So Donna's going to say the same thing, that her son told her that they need to pay up these gangbangers or else, and that's why her money ended up there. There's one other part of this that's ridiculous. Remember I told you about the bump just a minute ago, right? The bump.
Yeah, the undercover cop bumping into Donna several years after the fact.
Right. So here's the double extortion part. I said double extortion. Remember the bump, the undercover cop tried to extort money from Donna. Remember, you need to take care of my brother. And then they recorded the phone calls and stuff. This is how they moved things into play here. So they tried to extort Donna. She thought it was a relative of one of the gangbangers. The cop, the undercover cop in the bump, asked for $5,000. Okay, they asked her for $5,000 to take care of a relative. When that happened, Donna Adelson called her son Charlie, and everything was being recorded. And then Charlie flipped out. Like, how dare anyone try to extort us, the Adelsons, for $5,000? No way. In fact, I'm going to try to kill whoever is doing this. Okay. So then my question to you is, Phil, is this. If Donna and Charlie were so outraged by someone's attempt to extort $5,000 from them, then why were they so willing to pay the second extorter, the baby daddy, who demanded $300,000? Why were they so willing to pay Katie McBanawa and the killers the $300,000 if they were so reluctant to pay the first guy $5,000? So for the first guy, they're like, no way, we're not paying extortion money. But for this second extortion, supposedly, they're like, yeah, go ahead. Go take it from the safe. 10s, 20s, 50s. Take it all. $300,000. Sure. Whatever you need. It doesn't make sense.
Well, look, is there anybody who has or will testify that Donna sort of coordinated this, or Donna thought it up? Donna was the inspiration. Like, is there anybody that's going to testify that she came up with this crazy plan, or perhaps that she, helped Charlie get the money together, or who's going to testify? And what other than circumstantial evidence do we have, I guess is the question, that she was involved in this conspiracy and is not an accessory after the fact?
Well, Phil, I think her best defense would be that she was an accessory after the fact. But it looks like her defense team is just going for complete exoneration, that she had nothing to do with anything. She was an innocent victim who's paying off a killer who is extorting her. So I agree with you that if they relied on this lesser offense of being an accessory after the fact, she'd be convicted and she'd go to prison for more time. But she wants full exoneration. She is believing her lie, just like Charlie did, and believes that she could put one over on the Tallahassee jury. It's not going to work because the evidence is overwhelming, I think, against her that she was involved in this. Now, is there a witness who can show that she was pulling the strings in advance? No, it's circumstantial. It's her reaction to the bump. It's the laundered money, the wet money. The fact is, she went over to Charlie's house to drop off the money the night of the killing. So is that
the text messages where she texts Charlie and says something like, I'm at your house, or
Yes.
I'm near your house, or whatever, and he texts her and he says like 10 minutes away?
Yes. And Charlie was confronted with that at trial, and Charlie said, there was nothing there. I wasn't getting money from her. Just, she was in the neighborhood. Okay.
She just happened to text me to say she was in front of my house. And then I just happened to text her to say, well, I'm 10 minutes away. And then we're supposed to believe that that's a meaningless, that's a meaningless text exchange. Come on.
Charlie, the maestro, thought he was smarter than everyone else. He and Donna hate Tallahassee. They look down upon the people of Tallahassee, and the people of Tallahassee know this. Some of that stuff's going to come out about how she criticized Tallahassee, how she wanted the grandkids out of there. It's not going to go well for her.
All right. I'm trying to, I'm starring. There's a lot of questions in the comments, and I want to get to those. I'm putting a star next to them. Super chats, by the way, get automatically starred, so I will definitely see those. But there's some very good questions. Like Christy is asking here, Katie should have taken the plea deal the first time. What kind of plea deal was Katie offered?
Christy Irwin, you're spot on. Apparently, they offered Katie Magbanua just time served, walk free, cooperate.
Walk free.
Walk free.
Now she's never walking free again.
And she now, by the way, she is cooperating, and there's no deal in place. So she's hoping that her voluntary cooperation will get her a deal after the fact that she can leave prison early, at least see her kids before she dies. The problem with Katie Magbanua's testimony now is that why would you believe her now when she lied twice under oath on the stand? So she's not the best witness anymore.
Well, let's talk about the witnesses at trial. My list says, well, I want to get to Wendy Adelson last, but there's an older brother, Rob. Is he the one that's been estranged from the family?
Yes. Rob is a hero to a lot of people out there who have been following this case because Rob is the black sheep of the family. Rob fell in love with an Indian woman, and the mother, Donna, who was very controlling in her children's lives, did not approve and forced him essentially to break up with her. And then he got married to someone else, and that who the parents approved of, and that marriage fell apart. And Rob is now happily married to that Indian woman who he wanted to marry from the beginning, and his parents disapproved of, and he's estranged from the family. So I don't know if we'll see him at trial. You will see apparently Charlie testifying at Donna's trial, and you will see Wendy. She's going to testify too on behalf of the prosecution.
Well, I want to get to them, but real quick, back to Rob. What possible, if he was estranged, he's been on witness list before for the state. What could he possibly know about any of this?
I don't think he knows anything about it.
Okay.
I think he can testify about how he saw how Donna was outraged that she couldn't control Wendy and Danny, like that she could control Wendy, but that Danny wouldn't relent. Perhaps he can testify that Donna would go to any lengths to get those grandchildren back. Now, he's not going to have information, I don't think, about the murder, but he could testify to motive, the motive being Donna, more than anything else, wanted the grandkids near her in South Florida and hated Danny. And that's part of motive. I mean, how she used pejorative terms to describe my old friend, Danny Markel. And Donna is a woman who's used to getting her way. And she didn't get her way here. She was losing in court. And so she decided to take this out of the court's hands and put it in her own hands.
Okay. So we learned today's Saturday the 9th. Yesterday was the 8th of August. We learned, according to lawyers, that Donna Adelson is planning to testify herself. And I think she's going to testify to this crazy extortion thing. I think that's going to be the defense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Her lawyer has indicated that.
Well, you know what? I would give a decent amount of money to be able to go down and do that cross-examination myself. I think that would be so much fun. But all right, so we've got obviously law enforcement witnesses on there. Before we get to Wendy, let's talk about Harvey Adelson. Harvey is Donna's husband. Where's he in all this, if anyone?
I don't think he's going to be prosecuted. It's not to mean he didn't know of the conspiracy. There's a recorded call that he had with Charlie, and it shows that he seems to know more than he lets on. But it's not like
can you expand on that call? What you're talking about?
I've got to review the transcript, but there were some comments that he made in the call.
That's Charlie on the bottom left, by the way.
No, that Harvey, you mean, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. See, I get confused. Yeah, Harvey, my bad. Harvey's on the bottom left.
So, yeah, Harvey is the successful dentist. He was there with his wife to flee on the one-way tickets. That could be used against him as conscious of guilt if he's ever charged himself. And he did have that conversation with Charlie. I'll have to look up the conversation he had with Charlie, but it was recorded. It does show some incriminating stuff, but do they have enough on him beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't know. I think he's the last one to be prosecuted if they get him at all. I do think that Wendy would be next. So I'm not sure if they're ever going to charge Harvey.
All right. So speaking of Wendy, okay, this is a good way to segue. There have been rumors of a plea deal. This came out in the last week or so. There was rumors about that there was a plea deal on the table for Donna to get out on time served. See, she's been in jail almost, I guess, a year now. If she would agree to testify against Wendy. Now, let's see. Well, let's just see. We talked about that. Check this short video out. In recent days, there's been rumors of a potential plea deal. You know how we had the Koberger case, and at the very last minute, there was a plea deal? Well, a lot of times that happens on the eve of trial, so to speak. That brings people to the negotiating table. And so there was some talk that the DA might offer Donna a deal that would get her out of jail on the condition that she testify against Wendy. And I think our colleagues, Mark Eiglarsh, Jonna Spilbor, and Mark Garagos mentioned this as a possibility on the show 2 days ago on Wednesday. But since then, we've had a development regarding that rumor, and we've got a SOT. Let's play SOT 5B, which is the state attorney, Jack Campbell, and what he has to say about this.
It's just totally unfounded and untrue. No such plea offer has been extended.
Do you expect this rumor to have any impact on that jury selection?
Well, that's my concern, and that's why the ethical rules allow on pretrial publicity for corrections of things like this, and that's why I so quickly wanted to come out and correct it.
Now, it's interesting to note that he didn't say we never made any plea offer at all. He simply says, if you listen carefully, he says that we didn't make the plea offer that the rumor was about.
Yeah, well, that's normal for prosecutors to engage in plea discussions. You never take it totally off the table.
Yeah.
But
we saw that with Koberger.
Right. So that's nothing. I mean, I know Jack Campbell. He's a good guy, and he's doing the right thing here. They go one by one. And every time they convict someone, they seem to get more evidence against the next person.
He didn't. So what he said is he said, we've made no such plea offer. He didn't say we didn't make any plea offer. You know, just kind of, I mean, I would imagine that, look, if you're going to make a deal with her, you're not going to let her out on time served. It's going to have to be, 20, 25 years. It's got to be something substantial. And she may not have that much time left. So to her, that might have seemed like a life sentence. So I don't doubt they had plea discussions. I just don't, obviously they didn't have that particular plea discussion.
Well, the rumor was that she'd be released if she would testify against Wendy, but that was never going to happen. This mother, who was the protector of Wendy, was never going to turn on her and sentence her daughter, love her life, the mother of her grandkids, who mean more to Donna than anything in the world, going to sentence her to life in prison while Donna can live out the remaining few years that she has left back at home. That was never going to happen. So that rumor, I think, is false. But and the offer, I think, probably didn't happen. But I do think they engaged in some sort of plea discussion, like you said, that would have meant she would have served some more years in prison in exchange for something. But Donna is so delusional, apparently, just like Charlie, that she thinks she did nothing wrong and she could convince a jury of her peers that way. It ain't gonna happen.
I've got something that perfectly describes my thoughts about Donna's defense.
There's nothing more powerful than the odor of mendacity.
So anyway, be that as it may.
I saw that in the opening. What was it? What is that from?
Well, there's
nothing more powerful than the odor of mendacity.
Well, it's a throwback to the Fannie Willis coverage that we did a good bit of here inside the law. And the judge wrote in his order that her testimony had the odor of mendacity. He borrowed it from Kavanaugh. He borrowed it basically from that. And so I play that sometimes when I think people are maybe not being truthful. That's kind of what that means.
What movie was that from?
Is it Cat on a Hot Tin Roof? What was it? Somebody in the chat is going to tell me.
Please.
yeah, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is correct. It's funny because when I first tried to use that, I got it from somewhere and I started getting these copyright claims and I had to take it out, and I found another one that doesn't trigger that thing. But anyway, it's if you play more than just that snippet, it might. But anyway, I just kind of do that for fun. I don't think her testimony, if that's her defense, I don't think that it has the air of truthfulness to it. But hey, maybe it's just a bluff. Maybe let's see. True Crime Wifey says that it could just be a bluff, wasting the prosecutor's time preparing for her testimony. I don't. Maybe so. Do people bluff? Of course they do. I don't know how much. I think prosecutors always prepare for the defendant to testify because they have to. So I don't think that she could have come out and said, I'm not going to testify. And they would have still had to prepare for it because she could change her mind. So I think they always prepare, but who knows? It could be some kind of tactic from her. Who knows?
I totally agree. You're going to be prepared no matter what. And I think that's what motivates prosecutors. Just like you said, you would pay to cross-examine her. Georgia Kappelman, the excellent prosecutor on this case in Tallahassee, must be salivating at the chance.
Yeah.
She, Donna's taken a stand already in pretrial hearings, and it did not go well. She comes off as just arrogant, as a know-it-all, and over her skis, quite frankly, because her story keeps falling apart.
All right. So Chewy Boy wants to know, Dave, what's your take on yesterday's pretrial hearing?
Chewy Boy, what in particular? The discussion about her testifying and taking a stand in her defense about the extortion theory and stuff. Is that it? Because I was not surprised that her lawyer said she would take the stand. I'm not surprised that she's going with the double extortion theory, because the only other alternative is just to do the Phil Holloway defense of she was just an accessory after the fact. But they're just going for the whole enchilada.
Yeah. I think that's right. And so Christy's asking, do we think Wendy will be next? You kind of touched on that, and I was saving it because, Wendy has testified previously under a grants of immunity, use immunity, not transactional immunity, which means that the things she said on the stand can't be used against her. But she's never had any kind of immunity that says she can't be prosecuted for any of this. I think it all boils down to the evidence. I think that we might learn some things might come out. If Donna testifies poorly at this trial, she may slip up and give the prosecutors some evidence. I think that she's going to be charged. I think they're just trying to get to her, maybe let the dominoes fall in a certain order. I know they suspect her, and she's always denied any involvement. But it's kind of hard for me to believe that you've got all of this sort of the family and the extended the folks around her. We got the folks on the right hand side of the screen. You got the shot girl and the gang members, but that all these people are doing all this for her benefit to the extent that she can take the kids to Miami. It's hard to believe that all this is going on without her knowledge or having anything to do with it. So I think she's clearly a valid suspect. Whether they prosecute her, I think they want to, and I think they will. What do you think?
I think they probably will. There is evidence against her besides the obvious implication, as you mentioned, that she didn't know anything about this. This was all done for her benefit, and she didn't know. Like, she showed up at the crime scene right afterwards, even though it was out of her way. And she was turned away by the police when she was trying to drive onto the road. I mean, you see that for you. You want to see it for yourself. Why was she there that day? She said she was in the neighborhood because she was buying liquor for some party she was going to, but there was a liquor store right near where she lived. She didn't have to go to the liquor store way out of the way. Also, she saw there was a lot of police action outside of her ex-husband's home. Her ex-husband was supposed to have the kids. Wouldn't you call him and ask, where are the kids? Wouldn't you ask police, where are my kids? You didn't. Also, there's testimony from her ex-boyfriend, the boyfriend at the time that she had, a guy named Jeffrey Lacoste. He felt that she was trying to frame him for the murder. She kept asking him all these questions about, when are you leaving for your business trip? When are you leaving? And there was he believes that she was trying to set him up, that he would be the suspect for killing Danny by being in that area at the time. And then he changed the time of his trip so that he was obviously had a clear alibi that he had nothing to do with this. There's also a really suspicious text message that Wendy sent around the time of the murder or the ordered murder, when she found out apparently this was going on, allegedly, where out of the blue she texted her brother Charlie something to the effect of, "I'll never forget what you did for me." So why did you send that? It was out of context. It was out of nowhere, and so there is evidence that she is involved. Now, is it enough to prosecute her? We'll see.
Yeah, and I see here from my notes that the day after,
right,
I guess the day after Donna's arrest, the investigators seized 2 phones and an iPad from Harvey. Do we have any indication what may be on those, or do you think we're going to learn at the trial?
I think if there's anything incriminating against Donna, we'll know, and I think if there's anything incriminating against Wendy, we'll see that next. Richard, that comment, can you show his comment again? It was
it's
really, really powerful and really important, I think.
Oh, this one here. So
yeah.
Richard says, so Donna knew about the fake extortion too, but never told her own daughter, who killed Dan Markel, and her daughter had the grandkids moved to Miami where the killers were.
Another really important point. So in the trial of Charlie Adelson, when he had said that I was paying off the killers, they had Wendy on the stand, and they said, "Wendy, did you know that your brother the whole time knew who Danny's killers were?" I said, "No." So this is the first time you've ever known that your brother knew who killed your ex-husband and never told you. Like, yeah, this is the first time I just found out. Like, really? Really? You think that the mother-in-law who's so controlling and the brother who's so controlling would not mention to Wendy that they knew who killed Wendy's ex-husband and were paying the people off? They don't say a word about it. And Wendy has to find out at the trial? That doesn't make any sense.
Roxana says, how will Donna explain away she knew Rivera was involved, let alone being, I guess, LK Latin King, and they're reaching too far? I think it's a good point.
Yeah, how will Donna explain away that she knew that Luis Rivera? Well, yeah, that goes to the same part that she would have known that there's an extortion attempt. She may not, I mean, her excuse may be that she didn't know about Luis Rivera. She didn't know about Segredo Garcia. She just knew that Katie Magbanawa was extorting the family and Charlie, and that's why they had to pay. She may not know the names of the killers, but that this happened and then they were extorting her. But again, this excuse falls apart. This was an excuse. This was a defense that clearly was dreamt up by Charlie Adelson as he sat alone in his jail cell for a couple years waiting for his trial. So this was his development, his theory. And when it got out into the light of day, it fell apart. And Donna, for whatever reason, thinks this is going to work for her, even though it failed miserably for Charlie. And Phil, I hate to do this, but I've got to jump. You want to take the last question, and then
yeah. So the real point out, I know you got to run. So T. Cancella says that Donna may have a claim that she's a good mom of a questionable son, didn't know all the details, but knew he was doing something shady, and so she was, giving him money. That's something actually that had crossed my mind, which is why I popped this up.
Yeah, well, she'll have to say I didn't know anything about this. I just was giving him money because he said he was in trouble.
All right, last question before you run, Dave, is you think Rivera's going to be testifying in Donna's trial?
Yes, he's going to be an important witness. He will be testifying, and they will try to undermine him. And he testified really well in Charlie's trial. He, against the cross-examination from the defense lawyers, he held up very well. He'll hold up well again.
All right. Well, big round of applause for our friend Dave Aronberg. Thank you for coming inside the law and sharing your wealth of knowledge. I'm sure that, look, we're going to be talking about this a lot, and we're going to have to do this again soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day, buddy.
Hey, Phil, can I do a quick plug of my book?
Please do it.
Thank you. Right here. This is Fighting the Florida Shuffle. This goes into how the Affordable Care Act and other well-intended federal laws have actually fueled fraud and corruption in the drug treatment industry, leading to so many unnecessary deaths. The book is available at Amazon and other places. It really provides insight into how our federal laws have enabled this corruption of the drug treatment industry, and now it's spreading throughout the whole country. This also shows how we fought this in Palm Beach County and won. And it's a roadmap for other families who are looking for treatment options for their kids and to know how to fight back against this fraud and abuse.
I'm glad you wrote that book, and we could actually do a whole show on the corruption in the drug treatment business. It's something that an industry or a business that crosses my path frequently in the nature of my work. And look, people who need drug and alcohol counseling and treatment, there's great programs. We always want to encourage them but there's a lot of really sort of shady operations out there too. And I'm glad you wrote that book, and I'm glad you guys did such a good job in Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. Fighting the Florida Shuffle. I appreciate you letting me plug my book.
Yeah, anytime, buddy. All right, we'll see you next time inside the law. All right. Look, there's nobody that, in my view, knows more about the Donna Adelson case than at least this case. This goes back to 2014, so it's over 11 years. It's been a lot of twists and turns. And think about the things that we've all been sidetracked with. We've had presidential elections, we've had crazy politics, we've had crazy legal stuff, we've had the pandemic. And so there's nobody other than, I think, maybe the prosecutors in this case who know all about all of the twists and turns and can articulate them as well as Dave Aronberg. So I really am glad that he was able to get in here with us today. And I'm glad that you guys have all joined me here today inside the law. And again, I'm going to be more frequent now. I was on a hiatus for a while, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and frankly, some money out of pocket to put all these things together. And so I didn't want to just throw things together just to have something to put out. When I do a show, I want it to be a good show. I want it to be meaningful because I want you to learn something about the real justice system and how it works in real life. So thanks for bearing with me. We're going to be back more active. Also, you'll see me, of course, on MK True Crime. I am very grateful for that opportunity. And you see, there's going to be some overlap, right? I've been given full reign to sort of cross-pollinate with that undertaking, and I think that's awesome. I've been introduced to great folks who can help me to help you understand the real justice system, people like Dave, and I'm sure there will be others. So there'll be some there will be some overlap. But I hope you'll check it out, and I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing and supporting this channel so that I can continue to bring you guys this kind of content. I don't call this true crime content per se, but it's sort of in that same ballpark. But I do appreciate each and every one of you. And I see some folks are new subscribers. Thank you so much for the subscribing. Chewy Boy says subscribe because of Dave. Please bring on Carl Steinbeck. Thank you, Chewy Boy, for the subscription. And yeah, Dave brings a lot of good information. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's a great lawyer. And we have other folks. Those of you who have been with us for a while, Rachel Kaufman and I were talking this week about getting some things together. I'm trying to do a Fannie Willis update. What I want to do is I want to get maybe Ashley and Rachel and some of the band back together in here, Ashley Merchant, because the Willis case, the Trump RICO case that we've covered so closely, is still in a little bit of limbo, and we'll talk more about that on a future show. But anyway, I do appreciate all of you very much, and just for old time's sake, for those of you who have been around for a while, whatever you do, make sure you don't turn into this guy.
Man, can I get a water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all now. I ain't gonna tell you no lies.
Yes, you may. You're gonna take a break. Hang in there.
All right. There you go. All right. Thanks so much for joining us today here Inside the Law. And please consider liking and subscribing. Tell all your friends, anybody who enjoys this type of content, may be interested in it, tell them to come here, check it out, and I'll see you next time Inside the Law.